Hey guys, it's Blair, the Love Guru from loveguru.net, thealiennetwork.com, and horsehealer.net. And today is November 4th? No, 6th, 2024. And Trump got selected. You can't possibly think that the story's over. Do you? So first off, let's talk about, are you surprised that Trump was selected? Because there was like a couple different scenarios running. What did you think was going to happen? It's not over, by the way. This is not done. It's just getting started. So first off, yeah, I mean, it was hard to predict what was going to happen. And it's also a little bit hard to not be swept up in the excitement of it all, right? Like you kind of go into this, back into the delusion, back into the illusion. It's very easy to slip into that, to be like, yeah, there were so many more people at that Trump rally, at least locally here, which I guess apparently is like a very big area in Pennsylvania. As far as election areas. And, because Pennsylvania is a swing state, in case you don't know. This was like all new to me when I moved here. But anyway, so you could say, well, you know, look, there was 3 times the amount of people at the Trump rally than there was for the Harris rally. And there was definitely energy pumping. There's been a lot of hype online about Trump. A lot of people who think that they're awake, that are mainstream, as well as in the spiritual. I'm talking about like new age, new cage area, believe that Trump is a good guy here to save us. By the way, I teach freedom classes, which is educates you, deprograms you, empowers you so you can get involved. That's the 4 steps. You have to actually go through the 4 steps before you can get involved. You have to get educated. You have to get deprogrammed. Those are like 2 key points. You don't skip to just getting involved. And the reason why I'm sharing that, why'd that come out now? Oh, because I have classes up there about how voting is not real. It was never real. Stop consenting to your slavery. So I have a part 1 and part 2 of that, explaining how and why voting is not real and how you actually are consenting to your slavery by voting. And then also, and it's not just me talking. Some of the classes are just me talking, but a lot of them are like, I'm showing government documents, I'm showing videos, I'm sharing different articles with you. We're having conversation for you to think and to look at things in a new way. Because a lot of times you're just exposed to things in one certain way, and then, you know, you have to, as soon as you hear like a higher consciousness perspective, then you're like, oh, that actually makes sense. Okay. And that's it. That's how that works. I also have a class that is breaking down the lies, the Trump psyop, the Q/QAnon psyop, and Trump's assassinations, because that's not done with either. Hint, 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 hint. You know, if you know the game plan of the elites, then you stop getting played. And that's what I teach. I teach the game plan of the elites, the New World Order. That's what it's called. I teach that. I've been studying and teaching it for over 13 years now. And also, I'm trained as a therapist, so I have the psychology background, because all of these things that are going on are psyops, psychological operations. So I have that background. I've also been a coach for over 20 plus years, helping people transform their lives and clear out these limiting beliefs, this old programming that you have that's running. You know, that's what life is about. That's what the awakening is about. That's what and getting empowered is about, is looking at your false beliefs, stepping out of the illusions and into truth. So I teach these classes about the Trump psyop, the Q and QAnon, or whatever you want to call it, QAnon psyop, the whole PSYOP, people believe in these white hats, the good military that's here saving us somehow in the crevices. You guys are in for a rude awakening, man. It's coming. Coming down the pike. Come marching down the pike. So let's talk about this. I mean, it's very easy to go back into the delusion. If you're awake, it's easy to go back into the delusion, back into the illusions that, okay, all is well. Trump will fix it. That's one of his slogans. I love it. It's fun. Makes me excited. Gets me pumped up. Doesn't mean that it's real. I recognize it for what it is. Good marketing. I recognize it for what it is. A good psyop. Always enjoy a good psyop. I love it. It's fascinating. The manipulation tactics are fascinating to me. That's why I teach about it. That's why I think about it a lot, and for years. So it's easy to go into that illusion that, hey, the voting worked. Hey, look at all these people came out. Even the Amish were voting. I was watching this video yesterday about how the Amish were now getting involved in politics, going out and voting. Normally they don't do that, but how they can't stand this woke culture, and they like Trump, maybe not the personality of Trump, but they like, you know, that he's a businessman. He's a successful businessman, and he's not one of them, and all of the things that they always say. Not the Amish, I'm just saying people who support Trump. You know what? I fell for that too. We all fall for all these things, and then you rise to higher levels, and you understand what's going on here. So again, I want to go back to this whole thing because I want to talk about gaslighting, okay? Going back to sleep and gaslighting. So it's very easy to go back into this delusion, back into the illusion that voting works, that the people, you know, power to the people, they came out, they expressed their desires, they fought for it, and they got the ruler that they wanted. They got it. And now what happens is all these people who have a wonderful warrior spirit, who understand the issues for the most part of what's going on in the world, you know, well, they would be great to be part of this revolution. You know, this guy I met at the Trump rally the other day was running around with his camera, and he's like, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I'm making a documentary about the revolution. And I was like, okay, you want to interview me? Because I was like, we're leading the revolution right here. And I was like, yeah, you know, voting's not real, blah, blah, blah. The normal spiel I say. I've gotten down some talking points that I share with people, like real quick, getting it out for them. And I had practice with the press that's been around, which there was loads of press at the Trump rally and not so much at the Harris rally. Just side note of something I was thinking about yesterday too. And then he was like, I was like, you know, Trump's not the good guy you think he is, and people are already selected to be the next ruler. It's not real. He's like, oh, I think you're mistaken. I'm sorry. You know, this is the biggest election. This is the most important election. And that's programming. Why? Because they told you this is the most important election? Because, like, actually, I went to Drudge Report yesterday, and it said the most important election. You're programmed. How? I'm not programmed. This is so important. This is the biggest election. Trump is going to save us. Yeah, that's programming. I'm not programmed. How dare you say I'm brainwashed? I'm not brainwashed. I know how it works. You go, you vote, and then you get like electoral votes, and then that they vote, and that's how that works. And I learned that at school, and I'm like, where do you think that you were brainwashed? Those are government indoctrination schools. Like, I had someone yelling at me in an art class. They were all talking about the election. I'm sorry. I'm not staying quiet. I'm not sitting around listening to bullshit. You know, and I said something, you know, same deal. It's not real. I was like, whatever. She's like, are you saying that I'm brainwashed? I'm not brainwashed. This chick is a nurse. In the system. Not like all nurses are bad, but hello, you're part of the system. Most people are part of the system. You know, if she's still a practicing nurse in the healthcare system, in the hospital system, that, by the way, runs this area. This whole area is run by the healthcare system. Like these big hospital conglomerates run this place, and they own, like they donate/own all these different buildings. It's nauseating where I live. It really is. So if someone's still in the nursing system, or someone's a doctor still in the system, that did not wake up during Con 19 and is still dishing out these boosters, and I mean, really? You're brainwashed. End of story. That's it. You haven't woken up during that whole period. You didn't go down any rabbit holes. You didn't explore. No curiosity. No, but she's not brainwashed. Okay. How dare you say that? Which I never said that. It crossed my mind after she said it. But she was all electoral vote. This is what I learned in school. Didn't you listen in school? No, I actually didn't pay attention in history, because I guess intuitively, I always knew it was bullshit, all the history they were telling us. It was actually one of the classes, or maybe several of the classes, I really just did not pay attention to. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about it's easy to go back into the illusion. Oh, so the guy, back to that other story at the Trump rally, the guy was sharing that he was interviewing people to make his documentary about the revolution and about how Trump was like the center of it. So, you know, it's hard to use words these days because, and I was talking about this in the last video, because people don't understand what you're talking about. They talk about the revolution and they're talking about Trump. They're talking about the revolution. They're talking about Nicera or Gesera or something. I mean, this was like, again, QAnon shit that I heard back during Con 19. What was that, 5 years ago? Like, you haven't broken out of that delusion yet? So, anyway, you know, you wake up this morning, you hear the news, Trump won. Oh, really? Trump won. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, remember I said, hey, Trump supporters are being set up? Yeah, here we go. And, you know, that was one of the ways that was going to play out, right? Because, you know that book, The Last President, and it was talking about Trump being the last president. Well, here we go. It's playing out. Oh, just like it was written out years ago. Okay. So it's easy to wake up and be like, all right, you know, Trump's the president. He's going to fix this. Oh, that's good. That means that most people in this world are not part of this woke culture. They're not in that brainwashing. Okay, we're better off. And then it's like, no, Blair, remember, voting is not real and the election's not real. Like, you have to kind of get back to like reality, not the illusion that's surrounding you here. You can't go into gaslighting yourself, you know, because then what happens is, like, there's two things here, okay? So that's the gaslighting. We're going to get into that a little bit more. And then there's like the aspect of all these people who are wonderful warriors that could be for the revolution are now going to relax because Trump, their love, their savior, is coming to fix everything. Remember this guy was like, wasn't he like the king of vaccines, or what was it? What was the title he was going around saying? He was what was it? I'm sorry, I just forgot it. But it was like, shit. I don't know. I forgot. It's not the king of the vaccine, but he was like, I don't know. And he pushed it forward. Like, what was that called? Like Project Warp Speed or something? Like, he really wanted to get that vaccine out there. I mean, I thought that, you know, you have to like keep grounding yourself in the truth here. Okay? Because there are like, you know, people that are part of the whole Trump camp that did not take it, that were awake enough to know, hey, we understood what was going on here. We didn't take that. Oh, the father of the vaccine. That's what he is. He was the father of the vaccine. Remember that? Okay, but Trump's a good guy. Well, you got to sacrifice some people in order for the greater good, right? Isn't that how that works? No, not if you're actually a good guy or a good girl, you know, for the highest good of all. If you're an awakened warrior, which is what I train leaders to be, people to be leaders who are awakened warriors, which is leaders who lead in truth, honesty, integrity, and for the good of all. So if you're a leader who leads for the good of all, it's not like you make some blood sacrifices with that, you know, a bio weapon. No, you don't make some sacrifices for the greater good. It doesn't work like that. That's not what being in integrity is about. No. So, okay, but all right. So, all these people who were wonderful, amazing, strong, like real men and women, warriors who can be part of the revolution, who can be part of the positive change in the world, are going to go back to relaxing, not fighting for any cause, not being involved, which they shouldn't be involved anyway, really, because they haven't gone through the first two steps that I talked to you about, which is getting educated and getting deprogrammed. Take some time to do that. We don't have time. I don't want to spend time doing that. Okay, we're back to that again. We're back to the nonsense of this world on how people don't want to develop themselves. They don't want to take the time to invest in themselves. They want constant dopamine hits. That's why it's so exciting going to a rally and cheering for whoever. Going to a football game, cheering for some rigged game. It's fake. This dude was walking around the other day, college kid, and he knows a lot about the truth. That's great. I was telling him, hey, you know, I'll come in, I'll teach you guys. He's like part of a fraternity. I was like, I'd love to teach you guys. You know, invite me in, gather a group, see who's interested. And he was like, well, you know, I'm here to teach them the truth. You know, I'm here to like, whatever he was like saying, trying to like, I guess, compete with me of what I have to offer. And I was like, dude, not to insult you, but I want you to know, you know, you have to be deprogrammed. You're walking around with a sports jersey. You're in a delusion. You're in an illusion. Those sports are rigged. You're out representing some bullshit that goes on in this matrix. Like, you can't possibly think you know it all. We all have mentors that are on higher levels than us. You know, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people, part of one of the psyops, again, there's like so many psyops, is that people think they know it all. They think they know it all. I'm constantly learning from others around me. Constantly. I'm even constantly learning from the sheep because I want to see what their thought process is. I'm thinking about new ways to communicate, how to reach them, how to share my material, how to become a better teacher. I'm listening to other people teach about the New World Order. I'm listening to their theories about how this is going to play out. I'm also at the same time constantly clearing my childhood wounds, constantly clearing my programming. I'm still doing this. I've been teaching about this and healing myself for over 20 years. I'm my first client. I'm my first student. I'm still getting major realizations of how I'm walking around in delusions having to do with relationships. Huge ones just came up recently. You have to constantly be learning. It's an ongoing thing. constantly deprogramming yourself, constantly healing yourself. It's just the way it works. You've been programmed since you were a baby in these lies. I mean, I also think about teaching college kids. This has been in and out of my mind for a while. Teaching college kids on like how to create healthy relationships. You know, think of the relationships you've been through. I'm talking about intimate relationships, but of course, probably all your relationships are fucked up because most people's relationships are fucked up. You're out of your power. There's codependency. You know, you're trying to fix wounds that you had to deal with your parents. You're repeating them in one relationship after the next. You're being cheated on. You're being lied to. You're being gaslit. There's power struggles. Like, there's all sorts of things that go on. You know, you're settling. You're not having boundaries. You're not honoring your non-negotiables. There's just all sorts of things. You're getting married because you were told to get married. You're having kids because you were told to have kids, basically programmed again, brainwashed. I mean, imagine if you had this information. Like, this is what I've been thinking about a lot lately too. Like, if I had this information that I have now, and of course it's part of my journey and this is what I teach, and you know, when you're a teacher, you're a constant student of like the information too, but it's like, if I knew what I know now about love, dating, love, relationships, I wouldn't have had to go through all the heartache that I did for like the last 20 years. You know, like so many, like, I'm going to say like so many men in and out of my life, but it's not like that. But it's like, I mean, just think over a time span of like how many people you meet and how many people like you sort of entertain to like maybe have a relationship with, how many people you allow into your energy space who like really have no business being part of your life at all. You know, that they're just like despicable people. Like, it would have eliminated all this stuff. So it's like, if I could have just like had some sort of mentor from like the time, like if this information was available to me when I was like in high school or college, that people had like the truth about how to have relationships, how to have a healthy relationship. Like, do you really think you needed all the heartbreak and the drama and the chaos and the pain through the years? I mean, it served its purpose. I don't regret my past. I mean, I've written lots of books about it. They're not all out now, but like, they're written. You know, I have one on how I stepped into truth with dating. Then I have one that's written about the marriage that I went through, that when all my childhood wounds started coming up and I started healing them. Or like starting that journey. It's a long journey. There's layers and layers of stuff. But if you had this when you were in college, this information that I have now, or like the truth about healthy relationships and like attachment styles and like emotional abuse, which like basically everyone in our world has experienced emotional abuse. It's not really talked about. I mean, abuse is such a dirty word. You know, everyone in our world has been gaslit. That's a form of abuse. Which I'm going to go back into the Trump thing. I don't know if you want to hear about this relationship stuff or not, but it ties in. It all ties in. So it's like, if you, and I'm going to talk about how it ties in, but if like you had this information when you were like in high school or college, like imagine how sweet your life would be now. Like how much further along you would be. That's going to make me a little teary. Just been thinking about that a lot. You know, like, there's just been a lot of realizations, like incredible awarenesses have been coming through, and like layers of gunk still just clears off. Like, you do all this like healing work, and then like in a matter of like a day or two or a week, like you get like a huge chunk of more stuff that like clears out, and you're like, oh my God, this is a massive shift. you're like, oh my God, I was still in such like an illusion around it. Like, imagine if you didn't have to go through all of that. Like, you wouldn't have such a big learning curve of like deprogramming yourself. The world we live in is so sick. It's really so mentally ill. Let me compose of myself so I can continue. I think this is a good time to share. Please like this video. I'm gonna sound like a fucking retard like everybody else on YouTube, all the robots. But can you please like this video and please leave a comment? And the reason why I'm asking for that is that I'm putting my energy into this medium again. I've had sort of a love-hate relationship with this YouTube and making videos over the years, and I still haven't really come to any conclusions about it, or I just keep going in circles about it. I don't know. I'm still like speaking to my higher self and spirit about that. But I'm asking you, like, if you're watching this, and please, and especially if you're watching this far, I mean, it's 30 minutes into it, please like and comment on my videos, even if you're just saying hi, Blair. You know, I appreciate that, because this is, again, the sick world we live in. Everything's about the algorithm. You know, at least help get the message out. It costs you nothing to do a like, to do a comment, and that's how this game works on ScrewTube. So, I'm just gonna start saying that like the rest of the fucking Muppets. So, yay! If you can't beat them, join them? I don't know if that really applies here. We're not joining them. Okay, I feel better. I can continue. The energy passed. I can continue. So I want to talk about back with this Trump and the gaslighting and the illusion. So it's easy to go back into the illusion, the delusion that everything's okay and we can relax now, and oh, good, I don't have to do any work to fight the deep state. Which I don't think you should be fighting the deep state, okay? But, you know, it's easy to go back into that. And you have to remind yourself of, like, you have to back and ground yourself in the truth of what this world is, what this matrix is, what this virtual reality system is that we're living in, and how it's not real. And how elections are not real, and how this is what the elites decided, or the AI program decided was going to happen. And that there's going to be chaos that's going to pursue. I mean, the story is not over. Like, this movie's just beginning. It's actually quite exciting on what's going to happen. Chaos. Chaos is going to happen. Tyranny, more tyranny, that's going to happen. And the Trump supporters are going to be hit hard. Like that last video I made, Trump supporters are being set up big time. Okay? This is just the one domino in the bunch of dominoes. Or maybe not, yeah, it's just one of the dominoes. Boom, 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 boom. Get ready. And that goes back to, again, that Department of Defense directive that was just updated or newly added or whatever. I don't know what the terminology is, back in September. And I don't know why I've been so confused about this. I still haven't read through. I haven't had time. I mean, it's not like top priority. I mean, I understand like the gist of it, but it's like, basically, I don't know why I'm so confused by it. You know, I want to actually read through the whole thing, but there's so much stuff going on. I mean, there was a lithium plant that I think exploded in Oklahoma, and now people are being depopulated out there, poisoned. And North Carolina, you know, that drama's not over with the whole hurricane, because now that land is toxic. I mean, it's the amount of stuff that is going on all at once is just mind-blowing. It's overwhelming. There's a lot going on. So what I'm going to say about this whole like gaslighting and emotional abuse. So I grew up having experienced emotional abuse. I teach about healing your childhood wounds. Being emotionally abused doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have to mean anything extreme. There's various levels of that. I always tend to think I'm on the lower side of it. I could be wrong. That could be me gaslighting myself. I always go back to like, hey, you know, like Blair, like what my mom always says, right? You know, Blair, you grew up in a nice family. She always used to tell us we're so close. We're a close family. Like, we're a nice family, you know, grew up with money. We had lots of opportunities, went on lots of trips, had never wanted something that I couldn't have. I never really wanted anything. You know, my mom would always say, Blair, your brother always asks for all the latest technology stuff, like the games and things. You never ask for any of that. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'm not into pop culture. Like, obviously, clear out of the womb. Like, I don't give a shit about what society does. I've always been like that. Just always in my own world, basically doing artwork and writing. That was always like my jam. Writing, doing my artwork, making videos. Just used to always do like creative stuff and be like just tapped in. So, the emotional abuse thing, it doesn't have to be an extreme thing. Like, if you start looking into it, you might be like, oh, I was emotionally abused too. Okay. Well, yeah, that fucks up your head. Okay. It fucks up your relationships. It fucks up a lot of things in your life. And when I'm talking about it having to do with like this selection is that, you know, one of the things, like when you do healing of, if you've been emotionally abused, verbally, mentally, physically, sexually, whatever, is that gaslighting is part of that, which is basically like denying your reality. And it's classic of what is being done to those of us who are awake out in this world, that like, you know, you're gaslit about like the information that you know, like that's not true. What do you mean? Like voting is real. I'm just giving it voting as an example. You know, obviously we went through this with like Con-19, but like, you know, you go through it with everything. You know, what do you mean weather warfare? Like, oh, climate change is real, you know, like, so you're gaslit, like, you know, certain information, but you're gaslit left and right. You're gaslit by the media. You know, you're gaslit by like people around you. You're maybe gaslit by your family about the information you know. And like the reason why so many people can't rise above that is because they haven't healed their childhood wounds. So like when you get to a place of like healing your childhood wounds, and again, most of us have been gaslit when we're a kid, is you learn to like just keep reaffirming your own reality. You know, like, well, hey, this person is a liar and I've witnessed them being a liar. Like, yes, it's been little white lies, but why are they lying anyway? And like, this person's like a dirtbag, you know, like, why am I even allowing that person in my life? And you have to like keep reaffirming to yourself, like, that person's a liar. They don't tell you the truth about things. They don't follow through. Like, they're not of their word. And like, then you go and speak to them and then they're like all like charismatic and like sweet and you feel connection. And like, maybe you're like, oh, they have unhealed childhood wounds or they have trauma that's not dealt with and I feel compassion for them. And then again, so like you start gaslighting yourself. You're like, oh, that person's not that bad. Oh, no one's really bad. Everyone's soul is good. So again, like you're gaslighting yourself and you have to keep like reestablishing like the correct reality of like, no, that person's a liar, that person's a sleazebag, like that's not the type of person I want in my life. Like you kind of have to go through that. So it's the same thing with this like election selection. Like you walk out into the world and then people are like excited, like Trump was elected. You see most of the people in the world, like this is, I noticed my mind going through it a little bit this morning. I was like, oh, I'm actually excited that Trump was elected. Oh, all is well in the world. I was like, oh, okay. good, now we could all relax. You know, even Trump's like saying like, oh, this woke bullshit's going to be gone now. Or I don't know, maybe other commentaries where like I saw maybe other headlines like that. But like, it was like all this like woke shit is done with. And then it was like, so you see how you start gaslighting yourself? And again, if you've step to the phase of like actually having again healed yourself, that's part of like the deprogramming, which is phase 2, get educated, get deprogrammed. What I guide you through the freedom classes is like, then you realize, okay, no, I'm gaslighting myself. Let me get grounded in the truth. I actually know what the New World Order agendas are, and they're going to create chaos. The election's not real. The elite selected this guy. The assassinations story's not done. You know, that's going to be coming down the pike with this guy also. Again, finally, a fake final one. If you know what I gotta watch what I'm saying because I'm putting this on YouTube. So you understand? You have to like pull yourself out of the delusion. It's easy to go back into the delusion, easy to go back asleep, easy to be gaslighting yourself, which is again going into that illusion, and you have to pull yourself out and be like, no, I know what the reality is. This is what reality is. I'm going to stay grounded in that knowing. I'm not going to fall for it. On that note, I look forward to seeing you in freedom classes. loveguru.net/freedom, thealiennetwork.com. Lots of resources to help you heal and deprogram from relationships, unhealthy government relationships, unhealthy love life relationships, unhealthy family relationships. Bye-bye.